Next, we're going to take our drawing of the base and we're going to turn on the dimensions. In the annotate ribbon, we'll use the show model annotation dialog. I don't want to use the dimension tool unless I absolutely have to. It's better to turn on the existing dimensions that come off of the part rather than to add the dimensions in the drawing. The dimensions in the drawing, they show essentially the distance between these two lines, where when we turn on the model annotations, then we're actually getting dimensions associated with the part itself. There's a couple of ways to do show model annotations. We can use the icon in the annotate ribbon. You can do it based on an individual view. You can do it based on the entire part, or we can do it based on a feature, such as a sketch or an extrude or a hole diameter, etc. This is a pretty straightforward part. We can do the entire part all at once. Right, so click on the part and click Show Model Annotations. I come back to the Dimension tab. Here's where my dimensions are going to show up, and those actually all look pretty good to get started. So we'll click on the button to show all, apply, cancel. So there's the dimensions associated with the part. They're not all of the dimensions that we need, but this will give us a good head start. We're actually getting a fair amount of dimensions from the skeleton, so we might need to work on those. All right, first thing we're going to do is clean up some of these dimensions. Okay. To clean up dimensions, we can drag them. If you right-click while you're dragging, so right now notice I've got my left mouse button, I'm pulling the dimension up and down. If I right-click while I'm dragging, the arrowheads will flip in and out. All right, a couple of things I want to do here. These extension lines are really kind of cluttering up my view. So we'll click on a dimension and we'll drag it off until there's a little bit of a gap. There, that looks good. Pull this one out a bit as well. Beautiful. Dimension the 25. There, I like that better. Okay. So right now I've got everything with 2 decimal places. The things that are really important, I might need more decimal places for. I also have to double check and make sure I've got enough dimensions. So every object has to have a shape, a size, and a location. So here we've got our first hole. The shape is a circle, the size is 0.25. That needs to fit our spacer, so I want that to be 3 decimal places. When I click on it, I get the dimension ribbon, and kind of in the middle of that dimension ribbon, I can change it to 3 decimal places. I also see its location. Okay. The base itself is a rectangle. I don't see a dimension for the full size of the base, so I do need to add that on as its own dimension. So to add this dimension, I'll click on the side, hold down Control for multiple, and then middle click to place it. I'm going to do the same thing for the height of the base. Control for multiple, middle click to place it. I also need the location for my second hole. So Control for multiple, middle click to place. So that's looking pretty good. Another piece of information is this hole over here. We could assume it's 0.25, but we don't want to make any assumptions. I'll double click on that dimension. Oh, cancel my dimension placement. And I'll want to go into the dimension text. And before the dimension text here, I'm going to write 2x space and add that dimension in. All right, so I've got the thickness, the holes go all the way through. I've used show model annotations to turn on dimensions associated with the part. You'll notice that they highlight and show a little bit differently. And I've used the dimension tool to add the dimensions I need. The reason why we want to make the difference is I can actually double click and change this number. And it'll update the part But I don't have the ability to do that with the dimensions that are added in the drawing. So when we get into our drawings, we want to use the Show Model Annotations tool as much as possible to turn on existing dimensions. Use the Dimension tool to fill in any of the gaps.